Tonight, truck tragedy on the freeway. Another family left heartbroken.
Police on the hunt for a bike hoon caught on camera.
The Aussie hero who saved a class full of kids in the Spanish flood disaster. The split-second decision that saved them all.
Exclusive, the shark nets are going in where you can swim in safety this summer.
Donald Trump upsets women again and the Democrats seize the moment.
And Australian researchers revealed the early warning signs of dementia.
Live from Perth, 7 News with Rick Ardon and Susannah Carr.
Good evening. Another Perth family is tonight facing the unimaginable pain of losing a loved one on our roads. This time, a truck driver on Kwinana Freeway.
The crash happened during this morning's peak hour. It caused traffic chaos, but most of all, it caused more heartbreak.
A path carved out across the freeway, marking where a truck lost control. Facing north on the southbound side of the Kwinana Freeway, it took out a light pole before rolling and crashing through a barrier, landing just a metre from the rail line. Inside, a 39-year-old male driver, he couldn't be saved. The crash happened just before 9 this morning, 500 metres south of Rowley Road. It forced the closure of almost 4 kilometres of freeway, causing traffic chaos, cars banked up and long delays during peak hour. The smashed barrier saw the Mandurah train line from Elizabeth Quay to Rockingham shut down.
We're putting in rail replacement buses and also there has to be a shutdown of the freeway. These are a very unfortunate accident and again, ask people for their patience. This was a very, very unfortunate accident.
The road was closed for almost 6 hours before the truck was able to be removed. You can see behind me, it's actually taken 2 tow trucks to be able to clear the wreckage. There is still some debris scattered across the road, so cleanup could take a while longer. Major crash officers also expected to spend some time here today trying to piece together what went so horribly wrong. The freeway eventually reopened at 3 p.m. and train lines just before 4. Headaches for commuters, heartbreak for yet another WA family. Lockie Burns, 7 News.
The soaring road toll has prompted major concerns about the upcoming Leavers celebrations when thousands of P-platers are expected to hit the road. The government has launched a campaign fearing not all schoolies will make it home.
On one wheel, flying down Mitchell Freeway.
Oh my God.
This reckless stunt was captured by our 7 News dashcam yesterday afternoon.
Unbelievable that people would do that.
A day earlier, a P-plater was clocked at 200 kilometres an hour. This and the recent deaths of teenagers has authorities worried just 3 weeks before Leavers. Inexperienced drivers heading south for celebrations. 9,000 are expected to attend. The fear some won't come home.
You are not invincible, and that stupid behaviour is a recipe for destroying your life and possibly many of your friends and family around you.
A new road safety campaign, Wheelmates, has been launched to try save young lives.
Make sure everyone gets home safe.
Fremantle Dockers star Emma O'Driscoll knows how car accidents can shatter lives after losing 4 friends in 4 years.
I'll never forget that phone call that I received from my family telling me that obviously this tragic accident had occurred, and it's one that I wouldn't wish upon anyone. It's horrible. You feel numb. You don't know what to do.
22-year-old George Tikani was killed in a crash 2 weeks ago.
I had a heart of gold, just like any other young teenager.
George's mother today spoke out after seeing the reckless behaviour of 2 P-platers.
They're definitely not taking these lives that have been lost seriously, but they need to, because don't ever think that it's not going to be you.
This is where the lives of 6 families changed forever. 6 mates in a car, 2 were injured, 3 didn't survive. Saying goodbye to their sons is a heartbreak their parents don't want anyone else to feel.
We have my son's funeral tomorrow. It'll be our last night with him.
The government, a sporting star and grieving families all speaking out. But now it's up to drivers to listen. Rachel Tassakar, 7 News.
Australians have described their extraordinary escapes from Spain's deadly floods as the death toll from the disaster almost doubles.
155 people are now known to have died, with hundreds of soldiers deployed to help search for the missing. Tonight, thousands of people are in need of food and, in a cruel twist, fresh water.
How does a nation begin to recover from this? A region so battered, this a still unfolding disaster in every sense of the word. After a wall of water swept through Valencia. In the town of Paiporta, 3 of the town's 4 bridges were swept away.
Sort of ocean came here and everything was underwater. Everything suddenly, in 10 minutes, all the town was absolutely full of water.
A deluge that nearly killed Australian English teacher Carolyn Doyle. She had 3 minutes to decide what to do with her students.
I took the hands of the kids and I was like, take my hand, and I was like, we're going to be fine. We're going to figure this out. I just knew that I had to get somewhere up high.
After experiencing the Brisbane floods, her survival instincts kicked in. This was her view protecting her pupils.
All this time we were sort of thinking, when is this going to stop?
At least 43 people died in this one town. Here, a man smashes into an apartment building, an attempt to get a child to safety. Now, an exodus of flood refugees is in search of shelter and the basics.
I'm afraid because I'm alive, but I don't have food, I don't have water, I don't have electricity. I have a family.
For 2 days, bulldozers have been busy scooping people to safety instead of shoveling debris. Now they can finally turn their attention to cleaning up these streets. Much needed help will finally arrive.
There is heartache everywhere and so much to do to return this usually sunny slice of Spain to any sense of normality.
Let's go to Europe correspondent Ben Downey on the ground in the flood zone. Ben, how are locals managing there at the moment, given the size of the disaster?
Well, remarkably well, Rick, given everything that's happened. As you said, they have no choice but to put one foot in front of the other. Most people walking through here are either armed with a shovel or a bucket or both. However, there is a real sense of desperation setting in. Many people coming up to us asking us for help finding food and fresh water. There is also a palpable sense of anger directed largely at the authorities for their failure to issue flood warnings in time, many not arriving until an hour after water was already hitting homes. There are 500 more military personnel being deployed to Spain today to help recover bodies and search for those who are still missing. It is a once-in-a-generation disaster here in Spain, and the majority of the work is being conducted by civilians. Sue.
Ben, thank you. One of our most popular beaches is protected again with a new shark net installed this morning. Cottesloe's old barrier had to be replaced and the new one got into the water just in time.
As the sun rose this morning, along with the temperature, shark barrier installers were some of the first in the water at Cottesloe, and they were just in time. As they worked underwater, a metro-wide alert was issued after 3 great whites were detected cruising up and down our coast.
The timing is very fortuitous, but we're thrilled that it's going in. We have absolutely seen the numbers of visitors increase to Cottesloe Beach since the shark barrier went in 5 years ago.
The barrier's rigid structure and wide mesh design means other marine life won't get caught and tangled.
Probably a great white could come up and nudge it, but they also know they don't try and ram through things to get to the other side. So no shark will get through the barrier.
What could damage it or break it?
The only thing that I could think that could break it is probably 4-metre swells with 50,000 tonne of seaweed.
Keeping swimmers safe doesn't come cheaply. Barriers like this one can cost up to $500,000 just to install. And now 9 have been funded by the taxpayer across the state. As well as Cottesloe, enclosures protect swimmers at Quinns Beach, Bigton Baths, Coogee Beach, Bustleton, Old Dunsborough, Middleton Beach and Esperance. Bathers Beach in Fremantle has just been approved for one too, but it won't be in place until the end of summer.
We're committed to trying to make our beaches as safe as possible. We know there's a shark hazard out there. It's had really unfortunate circumstances in the past.
38 lives have been lost to sharks in WA waters. It's hoped barriers like these will keep those attacks in the past. Alice Murray, 7 News.
The travel perks saga is getting uglier by the day. Labor is now accusing Peter Dutton of lying about his use of a private jet belonging to Gina Rinehart. It's setting the stage for all-out war between the major parties next week when Parliament returns.
The Prime Minister gets a nickname downgrade.
Upgrade Albo and his dodgy deals.
Susan Lee knows how damaging travel scandals can be. She resigned as a minister in 2017 after taking taxpayer flights to buy a Gold Coast apartment.
The key here is declare it if it's happened and be honest about it.
Claiming opposition leader Peter Dutton hasn't been. Asked on Tuesday if he'd asked mining billionaire Gina Rinehart to use her private jet.
No. Now it turns out that that's a lie.
Mr Dutton revealing yesterday his office had requested Ms Rinehart's jet for him to fly return from North Queensland to Sydney for a Bali bombing memorial.
After the government refused him a government flight.
So the bloke who's been attacking the Prime Minister uphill and down dale all week about this is guilty of the thing that he wrongly accused the Prime Minister of.
Transport shadow Bridget McKenzie, who led the attacks on Anthony Albanese's declared upgrades, is still investigating how many upgrades she's failed to declare herself.
She sort of came out all guns blazing but managed to shoot her foot off.
Shades of the dual citizenship affair, the Parliament again on a path of mutually assured destruction. Both sides scrambling to update their travel records while preparing to take each other down when hostilities resume here next week. Mark Riley, 7 News.
Workers across Australia are set for thousands of dollars in pay rises under so-called same job, same pay legislation. The federal opposition is vowing to repeal the laws if elected next year, but some employees are already celebrating big windfalls.
For workers in the sky to those digging up the ground, same job, same pay is now in effect. 800 Qantas long-haul flight attendants have just received a 28% pay rise.
Qantas has not employed a long-haul flight attendant since before 2007. So it's incredible that we've been able to sit down and negotiate a fair outcome.
The federal government's new laws target labour hire companies, where some employees are paid less than parent company workers, even if they have the same tasks and responsibilities.
For too long, we've seen big companies in Australia employ permanent employees at one pay rate and then top up their workforce by bringing in labour hire employees on much lower rates and conditions.
Among the first to benefit, staff at a Queensland mine, who now receive up to $20,000 more per year. And at a Queensland meatworks, labour hire workers celebrate pay rises of 25%. But if there's a change of federal government next year, these laws could be short-lived. The opposition says it will repeal same job, same pay if it wins the election. Industry groups warn of the increased cost and claim it removes discretion around hiring employees at different stages of their career.
Well, this is just another step that's going to make it harder for employers to engage Australians. It takes no account of a person's background, their responsibility, their experience.
More than 40 same job, same pay claims are being processed by the Fair Work Commission. Blake Johnson, 7 News.
The US election is now at fever pitch, with Donald Trump declaring he'll protect women whether they like it or not. The comments didn't go down well with Kamala Harris or her latest big-name recruit.
Beamed across the largest screen in the world. The biggest political ad for a race where the polls show the slimmest of margins. Kamala Harris in Las Vegas, and betting star power will help her win the White House. Jennifer Lopez, the latest big name to back Harris.
Kamala Harris is running for the people who dream.
J-Lo's family is from the island a Trump rally comedian called Floating Garbage, Puerto Rico.
It wasn't just Puerto Ricans that were offended that day. Okay? It was every Latino in this country. It was humanity and anyone of decent character.
Though the former president is battling a new political firestorm from this.
I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. I'm going to protect them.
Very offensive to women in terms of not understanding their agency, their authority.
Donald Trump also in a state no one expects he'll win.
And they all said, don't come. I said, why?
As Election Day nears, nerves grow about the days immediately after, about how America will manage a result likely to be very close and contested. In Phoenix, Arizona, Tim Lester, 7 News.
And don't miss our special edition of Spotlight on Sunday night, covering the race to the White House. And 7's live coverage of the US presidential election count begins at 9 on Wednesday morning.
WA Day is making its big return later this month after severe weather impacted the last two events. The Free Festival falls on the same weekend as the West Test, bringing together cricket, culture and community.
Knocking it out of the park. WA Day set to be bigger and better.
WA Day, take 2.
This time part of a 3-day spectacle combining the West Test against India.
Having the first test here in Perth, working to promote that test throughout those countries means we can use it as an incredible draw card for tourism.
It's massive. Two of the biggest nations going up against each other. You can't ask for much more.
It all kicks off Friday the 21st with the first test match, an Indian cultural festival outside Optus Stadium too. Then from 10 a.m. on Sunday, it's WA on display. Burswood Park will come alive with free carnival rides, food trucks, plus a headline performance from Eskimo Joe, part of an all-West Aussie lineup.
There'll be one more big name, WA artist, will be added to the lineup in the coming weeks.
The festival also featuring the state's biggest ever drone show.
Tens of thousands of people are expected to head to Burswood Park for the festival, and if you have a smart rider, Transperth will do the driving for you as part of Fare Free Sundays. It won't cost a cent.
Usually held on the WA long weekend in June, this year's original event a washout. Severe weather impacting last year's too, sparking calls for a permanent change.
What we are looking at is how we harmonise our program of long weekends and events that related to that with the other states.
That could be a sticky wicket. Francesca Danuccio, 7 News.
Sam Jolly joins us now. It was hotter than expected today, Sam.
Yeah, so it was a fitting way to cap off what was a very warm week and, of course, to kick off November. We got to 29.5 degrees in the city. It was an early maximum. That was before midday. Now, the average maximum for November is 26.8 degrees. The overnight low is around 14 degrees. We only get around 25 millimetres of rain and about 10 hours of sunshine a day. Something that is a surprise for November, not here, but in Brisbane. This is what looks like a tornado on the Brisbane River near the CBD. It wasn't a tornado, more what our meteorologist calls a gust-nado from wild storm cells that often sweep through but have rarely triggered anything quite like this. Incredible pictures. Back home today, much more predictable. Bullsbrook was our warmest spot with 32 degrees. We had the same for the Swan Valley, 31 at the airport, 27 in Swanbourne and tops of 26 for Rockingham and Baldivis. Now, we have had a high and a trough working together to deliver our hot week. That trough is now moving east and a cold front is going to pass through tomorrow, so we are about to get a cool change. I'll have the weekend forecast for you right after Sport, Rick and Sue.
Thanks, Sam. This is 7 News live from Perth. Next.
A social worker's concerned about a dangerously thin dancer. The strange relationship between the starving teenager and her mother.
Australian women join a legal fight against a London institution.
Touch and go, the sideways landing in a stormy weather.
And Gladiator returns to the arena, the movie sequel to the box office smash.
The relationship between a Floreat mother and her starving daughter has been described as unusual by a social worker in court. She also told the jury the girl's father laughed off concerns the 17-year-old was at risk of cardiac arrest.
Doctors say this Floreat teen was so malnourished she was at risk of a heart attack, labelled an emergency case who needed urgent hospital care. Her dad allegedly laughing off the dire diagnosis, telling them he had done his own research and his daughter was fine. The revelations revealed in the 47-year-old's trial. He's accused of neglecting the nearly 17-year-old who weighed just 27 kilograms, along with the girl's mother, who a social worker today described as having an unusual relationship with the girl. Denise McNabb telling the jury the pair was almost one person. The teenager would hold her mum's hand and sit on her lap while repeating almost everything she said, telling hospital staff she sleeps in the same bed as her mother because she likes it and has done for a long time. Nurses' observations were read out in court. They were concerned the girl was exercising in her room, practicing ballet and stretching when children this sick were not meant to walk or even leave their bed. The parents deny any wrongdoing. Cassidy Moscone, 7 News.
More than 400 women have now made shocking allegations of rape and sexual assault against Harrods boss Mohammed Al Fayed. The group includes 6 Australian women who worked at the billionaire's store. Lawyers say they're seeking justice for the survivors.
So that the world can finally understand the truth of what really happened within the walls of Harrods.
Harrods is accused of covering up the allegations. Al Fayed died last year, aged 94.
Spare a thought for the passengers and crew on board this flight in Taiwan. With powerful winds whipping up mayhem, the plane was tossed about as it came in for its landing, which was quickly aborted.
It was one of the biggest films of a generation, and now there's a new Gladiator appearing in the arena. 2 decades on, the sequel is aiming to conquer the box office with the same might as the original Russell Crowe epic.
An ancient Rome brought to life by movie magic.
The first couple of fights, the adrenaline is like through the roof.
He would do the entire sequence from beginning to end for all of the takes on us up in the royal box. And
because I loved it.
Paul Mescal plays Lucius, son of Russell Crowe's character Maximus from the original Gladiator.
He's got an inbuilt genetic kind of relationship to Maximus, but he's not aware of it.
It's an all-star cast, including Pedro Pascal, Denzel Washington and a monkey.
Yeah, Paul was doing his gladiator training and I was doing monkey training.
Shot in Malta and Morocco, sometimes in 38-degree heat.
Conditions were beautiful for like weekends when you're not rolling around in the sand and sweating copious amounts when you're fighting.
Gladiator 2 now eyeing box office success when it's released in cinemas on November 14.
Rave reviews, talk of award season. How does that sit with you all?
Relief. You know, I think we were all sort of like aware just how high the bar was. We all came on there willing to literally put everything out there for the film.
Angelique Opie, 7 News.
And still to come, driving into the future.
An electric truck first for Perth. Cleaner and greener, where the new rig will be working.
Plus, Giants captain Toby Green breaks his silence on the club's Wild Mad Monday celebrations.
We'll tell you the key to reducing your risk of dementia by 40%.
Jail time for a trio who ripped millions of dollars from the NDIS.
And an Aussie first, the new high-tech way to shop in store. That's next. The
first fully electric heavy-duty truck approved for WA roads has arrived in the state. The Volvo FM can be used for transporting freight in urban areas. At the moment, just 4% of vehicles on WA roads are heavy-duty trucks, but they contribute 18% of the state's emissions. Volvo is now looking to expand the technology to the mining industry.
In respect to the mining industry, we're working very closely with some of our major customers here, and they've got a clear ambition to decarbonise the industry.
Volvo has committed to manufacturing the truck in its Queensland factory.
Giants captain Toby Green has broken his silence on the club's wild dress-up party. 13 players were sanctioned over their antics, which Green admits could spell the end of post-season footy celebrations.
In the doghouse with the AFL, Toby Green knows the Giants' post-season dress-up party crossed the line.
There's things we could have done better, myself and as a club, and we learnt them throughout the process, and I guess all we can do is make sure it doesn't happen again and then get a lot better from it.
6 players were suspended for costumes and skits, including New York's Twin Towers, former rugby league star Jared Hayne, and sex acts with a doll. Green was one of 7 players fined. Initially it was $20,000, but he negotiated it down to 5.
There was just a few mistakes leading into it and how it played out, and You know, the way we finished the season, no one really anticipated being there on that day.
A remorseful Green says he's addressed GWS staff over the scandal.
We wish we could have been better, and I learned a lot from it, to be honest, mate, and it was really disappointing.
The saga has placed the future of post-season dress-up parties in doubt, with some experts calling for costumes to be scrapped altogether. Do you think this is the end of dress-ups or Mad Monday over the top?
Oh, well, that's not for me to decide, mate. I'll just go with the flow, but I don't think we'll be doing too much next year.
Mitch Cleary, 7 News.
One of the nation's leading researchers has offered a series of signs to look out for to spot the early indications of dementia. She's also leading a charge to help Aussies ward off the condition.
On diagnosing dementia,
there you go.
It's never one size fits all.
That one might be a bit small.
For most of us,
say someone you've only met once and forgetting their name, that's not a sign.
But
forgetting a name of a family member, getting lost, not being able to follow a recipe that you've always made.
For Des,
my mum had dementia. The memorable one was when she drove on the wrong side of the street and the cops pulled her over.
Say no more.
So I'm trying to do everything to avoid dementia.
It's why he's here, a science class for seniors, exercising everything from memory.
If you go back to the end of World War II.
To movement.
This one down here.
To try and dodge or delay dementia.
Things you do now in middle age can prevent you getting it as you get older.
To reduce your daily risk by 40%, exercise, socialise, and on alcohol, minimise. Also, get a hobby like travel.
Look at you relaxing.
Hector Steele, who's been diagnosed with dementia, is just back from Bali. All expenses paid on the NDIS.
He remembers being on the plane, he remembers being on the beach.
And just keeping yourself going as you get older.
So, in the end, the science for seniors is really quite simple.
Do you want one of mine?
Keep on keeping on.
I want to do everything I can.
Zoe Martin, 7 News.
Still to come tonight, 1 billion views online.
The Aussie mates who turned a skit into a global sensation. Next, Sooshi Mango in Perth, their plans for a new movie.
Fraudsters jailed for stealing from the NDIS, their multi-million-dollar scam revealed.
Is this the future of fashion? The Australian first high-tech shopping experience? That's soon.
And coming up in sport, one of the Dockers' most revered figures quits the club. The AFL's Bunbury Kangaroos are a step closer. And don't miss Anna's chat with one of Australia's fastest bowlers. Now, Fuel Watch. Perth's petrol prices brought to you by Fuel Watch and 7 News.
Taking a look at the markets now, the ASX 200 has ended the week 41 points down. The banks followed Macquarie's lead, which lost more than 3% after issuing a profit warning. It was a mixed day for miners. Gold is trading at $2,754 an ounce. Iron ore is $104 a tonne. $1 Australian dollar is currently buying 65.61 US cents and 10,322 Indonesian rupiah.
3 people have been sentenced to jail for their roles in an NDIS fraud syndicate that scammed the government of millions of dollars. The court heard they defrauded the NDIS and ATO out of $5.8 million with forged medical documents and business reports. Police also uncovered nearly $2 million in cash, gold and crypto and seized 3 luxury vehicles.
In the 1980s, wogs out of work took Australia by storm. Now, more than 30 years later, a new generation of comedians poking fun at their ethnic heritage have become a global sensation. Sooshi Mango are in Perth and they spoke exclusively to Tina Altieri about their movie plans.
1 billion views.
Give me cash. Morgan and Fremantle. Rocky.
1.5 billion.
We don't count. We don't count. Are you counting?
Sell-out concerts around the world.
We had to come and see Tina.
Making light of their ethnic heritage. It took these brothers and their mate almost a decade of social media skits to become an overnight Today, prepping the Perth stage to rock the frock and reveal details of their own movie.
Another exclusive we're giving you guys, but it's about an Italian club that is under threat. And the three ethnic dads, Johnny, Vincent, Sam, have to pull up their socks.
And the Nonnas have waited for this Perth stop to reveal their restaurant chain is also expanding.
We love Perth. Perth number one. And the Susannah and the Ricky. Susannah, Ricky, we love you. Watch you all the time.
Their movie will hit cinemas in a year. Tina Altieri.
7 News!
And we watch them all the time. But first, Barra has sport now. Barra, a legendary Docker, is stepping down.
Yes, Susannah, Ricky. A bit of a surprise announcement ahead of the national draft. One of the club's biggest names has quit. Plus, Northam's Collingwood star Bobby Hill, clean shaven and ready to soar in 2025. Also, who wants to open for Australia? The contenders continue to struggle ahead of the first test right here in Perth. Good evening. One of the biggest names in Fremantle history has stepped down to explore other challenges. Peter Bell was one of the first players to be signed by Freo. He played 286 games in 2 stints between 1995 and 2008. He also captained the club before joining the board. He became the head of football 6 years ago, and his last position was as Executive General Manager of Football Talent, Strategy and Special Projects. In a statement, the 48-year-old said, "I'm extremely proud of my contribution as a player, board member and on the executive team, but I'm keen to explore my next challenge and allow our list managers in David Walls and Darren Fry to lead the club at the upcoming AFL and AFLW drafts." Bell was the first Docker to be inducted into the prestigious Australian Football Hall of Fame. Good luck, Belly. And an extensive review into the Melbourne Football Club has failed to address the club's culture problems. And this morning, the Demons had their home patch swamped by an orange tsunami.
The Giants training in enemy territory, joined by a few familiar faces at Gosh's paddock. Just missing new recruit Jake Stringer, who's currently overseas.
I was certainly keen to get him up and thought he had something to our forward line that we don't have, and he's another player that's really hard to play on and can kick goals and create them.
Richmond's Tim Taranto joining his former teammates, so too Harry Perryman ahead of his first pre-season with the Pies, all while his new teammates were just on the other side of Amy Park. Dan Houston and Nick Dacos running laps together, and Tim Membry will soon join them, the former Saints star signing a 2-year deal at Collingwood.
Obviously, like I said, they're a big club, and to be able to be joining the Pies, got some friends here, and got a lot of friends that are supporters. So it's going to be a great opportunity and one that I'm looking forward to.
Bobby Hill today embracing Movember, supporting men's mental health.
I'm looking like my youngest son, so a lot younger.
Baby-faced but deadly and determined to make amends after being a September spectator in 2024.
It was a bit annoying, obviously watching Brisbane, win it, and not what we done to them the year before. I haven't stopped training, so thought I'd try to get ahead of everyone and hold my set for a big year next year.
And Jack Martin will be hoping for a big year himself at his new club, joining the Cats on a 2-year deal. Kate Massey, 7 News.
To cricket, and WA fast bowler Jai Richardson has revealed the toll his multiple injuries have had on his mental health. But he says his desire to pull on the baggy green again is still as strong as ever. Here's Anna Hay.
A 5-wicket haul in Test cricket.
Oh, too good on that occasion.
Removing King Kohli at the crease. A few years ago, Jai Richardson and his right arm were flying.
Just the last delivery, that's it.
Then injury struck. The paceman suffered blow after blow. The mental toll was taxing.
There's a lot of comparison to the athlete that I was probably 4 or 5 years ago, sort of that 75 kilo, wiry, short fast bowler that was running in like the wind. It can drag you down a little bit when you do have that comparison, and you sort of judge yourself on where you're at. I've worked really hard on my mental health. I've had some issues there that I've worked through.
This off-season, the 27-year-old went back to the drawing board, searching for solutions. He hopes the answer lies in the changes he's made to his off-season program.
This year, we've kind of tried not to stop too much, so I've continued to bowl since the IPL. I've bowled twice a week, which most of the other guys are bowling 3 times a week, but I've been trying to go for a little bit longer.
So far, so good. Richardson is now building towards a red ball return and it's tracking in the right direction. He's lining up in WA's second 11 game next Monday and is pushing for a Shield return.
The longer that you're out of the game, the more you wonder whether or not you're capable. And I think that that's just a natural response to not playing. I'd love to play Test cricket with Lance. He terrorises batsmen in Shield cricket. To have a WA cartel in the Test side would be, that would be really, really cool.
Anna Hay, 7 News.
And Richardson has also backed in his teammate Cam Bancroft for a Test recall, despite the opener's horror start to the summer, which included a duck for Australia A.
He's had a really good year last year. He struggled a little bit early this year, but that's cricket. We know we can go through patches of struggle, and that's okay. Knowing bangers as well as I do, he'll come out of that. It'd be great to see him get an opportunity, but knowing him, if he doesn't, that'll just drive him even more.
Yeah, another contender, Nathan McSweeney, also failed to post a big score for Australia A today, dismissed for 39 as the Aussies made 195. And on day one of the Shield match in Hobart, WA has Tasmania 7 down for 302. Joel Paris took 4 for 38. Chris Waller is preparing for another big weekend at Flemington. The star trainer doesn't have a horse running in the Victoria Derby tomorrow, but his mare, Atishu, is favourite for the Empire Row Stakes.
Everything looks well for tomorrow. She's drawn a little bit wide. We've got James McDonald aboard. As I've said, she loves Flemington. She loves Cup Week. And the beauty of racing at Flemington is most horses get their chances.
Waller has 4 runners in the Melbourne Cup on Tuesday, including the favourite, actually, Buckaroo. And, of course, our racing coverage tomorrow hots up at midday on 7, Melbourne Cup on Tuesday. I reckon Christmas carols in the shops very soon too.
Where's the year gone?
It certainly is. Thanks, Barra.
Thanks, Barra. Fast fashion has gone futuristic. Global powerhouse Zara has opened a high-tech store in Australia.
Shoppers no longer have to scan their purchases and can even use an app to reserve a change room.
A multi-million-dollar makeover offering not just a fresh look, but a new way to shop.
It's exciting. It's good. We'll spend lots of money shopping.
This is Zara's most high-tech store in the Southern Hemisphere, where standing in line is a thing of the past. Shoppers can now book a change room using an app.
Just like that. Skip the queue. They've got one ready for people on the app.
And you can forget about scanning a barcode at the checkout.
You just put it in the basket and it picks up what you've put in the basket. You don't actually need to scan it properly. It just knows what you've put in.
In 2 weeks, a brand new feature will drop. The elevator Click and Collect, where you can scan your code and a machine does the rest.
Door opens and you can get it.
Zara's head office has told 7 News the change room app is now available at all stores. And if the Click and Collect elevator proves successful in Adelaide, that too will be rolled out across the country. Retail experts say it's only a matter of time before other big brands adopt a similar approach.
This will be the norm. This will be managing consumer expectations. Consumers don't like to wait in line.
From fast to futuristic fashion, it's all in your hands. Michaela Kamarik, 7 News.
Sam Jolly's back and the weekend is here. How's it looking, Sam?
Definitely cooler than what we've been used to this week, Rick. And we might even get a shower or two. I'll have the details next.
People always want to hear it straight from the horse's mouth.
Every Melbourne Cup, we get asked for tips.
I'm not the expert. Everything you need to know is in the West Australian.
The 2024 Melbourne Cup Guide, plus a free Giant Offers sweepstakes poster, only in the West Australian Monday.
Happy Friday. It was hotter than expected today as we welcomed in November. We got to 29.5 degrees in the city and it was an early maximum. It was before midday. Right now it's dropped to 19 degrees. The winds are southwesterly at 15 kilometres an hour. Bullsbrook was our warmest spot today, 32 degrees. We had the same for the Swan Valley, 31 at the airport, 27 in Swanbourne and 26 for Baldivis and Mandurah. We do have a high and a trough working together to deliver our hot week. That trough is now moving east and a cold front is going to pass through tomorrow. So we are about to get a cool change. Let's take a look at the national forecast. Possible morning shower for Sydney tomorrow. Hot and sunny in Adelaide. Possible shower in Brisbane and mostly sunny in Melbourne. And statewide tomorrow we have some extreme heat in the Kimberley and Pilbara. Marble Bar could get as high as 45 degrees. Then a sunny top of 31 for Carnarvon. We have 33 in Kalgoorlie and it's looking wet and windy in Albany. So we have a warm night. It's dropping to 16 this evening, then cooling to 23 degrees tomorrow. There's a medium chance of an early morning shower and it will be cloudy tomorrow. Then a partly cloudy 23 on Sunday as well. Just a slight chance of early showers. It's looking sunny again and 23 on Monday. A possible shower Tuesday and Wednesday, sunny and 21 on Thursday and then 22 next Friday. Now for tonight's winning lotto numbers, they are 43, 2, 20, 25, 35, 26 and the supplementaries are 27 and 18. Those numbers again are 43, 2, 20, 25, 35, 26 and the supplementaries 27 and 18. Now here's Mark Lacroix with your weekend on the water.
Well, it's almost time to start preparing for one of our favourite fisheries with the crazy craze season not far away. Let's check out what's happening on the water. Expect westerly winds 10 to 15 knots, turning south to southwesterly 15 to 20 knots during the morning and early arvo. Seas around a metre, increasing to 1.5 metres during the morning and a southwesterly swell around a metre. The low tide at Rotto is just before 5 a.m, while the high will be just after 9 p.m. Similar times back inshore around Freo. If you're keen on a surf, unfortunately it's not the weekend for it. Sunday morning might have a small wave, but I wouldn't bother. If you're wetting a line, beach fishing for tailor has been good around Secret Harbour. King George whiting catches have been strong around windmills and a few soapy mulloway have been caught around the Narrows. And check out these awesome viewer pics. Kim Fish lived up to his name, scoring this ripper squid off Busselton. Greg Marshall caught this cracker mackerel up in Broome. And have a look at this monster cobia from Brogan Moseley up in Dampier. Impressive hauls, guys. Keep them coming. You and families have also hooked yourself a $200 service voucher from Automasters. Drop us a line to fishing@7.com.au for your chance to win an Automasters voucher too. We'll have a great weekend. Good luck around the water and I'll catch you again next week.
Take on the weekend news. Here's Mark Humphreys.
The US dumpster fire of an election is appropriately ending with a debate over which side is calling each other garbage. To recap, a comedian at Trump's rally called Puerto Rico garbage, resulting in Joe Biden appearing to refer to Trump supporters as garbage, leading to Donald Trump then dressing up as a garbage man and riding around in a garbage truck. Are we sure we want to buy submarines off these people? Okay. On one of his final campaign stops, Donald Trump declared this week that he will protect women. And if that didn't sound ominous enough, he added,
I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not.
Trump there demonstrating his ongoing commitment to doing things to women without their consent. Meanwhile, Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, a name you'll hear either every day for the next 4 years or never again, steadied the ship with some more typical political rhetoric, declaring that he and Trump can win, quote, the normal gay guy vote. For all their vitriol towards immigrants who don't speak English, it's astonishing how much of what they say sounds like it was put through Google Translate. In more positive news, American politicians have joined in on the Halloween fun. Governors Wes Moore and Gretchen Whitmer both dressed up as Tim Walz, while Donald Trump dressed up as a convicted felon sex predator garbage man. While America's leaders argue over who called who garbage, Australia's leaders are arguing over who called an airline for an upgrade. The Prime Minister has denied ever asking Alan Joyce for an upgrade. The opposition leader has admitted to asking Gina Rinehart for a lift on a private jet, and Bob Katter has revealed he tried to call Ansett but is still on hold. And no one ever called Bonza, which explains their predicament. An inquiry into Australia's COVID response has been released, finding that Australia fared well compared to other countries, like that one where the garbage man wondered whether the virus could be killed by injecting disinfectant. The report detailed the cost of the delayed vaccine rollout and the effect of lockdowns, but of course the most damning finding was the long-lasting psychological damage from those attempted elbow bumps. Russia has fined Google $20 decillion for blocking Russian YouTube channels. If I were Google, I wouldn't walk past any open windows, or tabs for that matter. For those who don't know, aka everyone, 20 decillion is 20 followed by 33 zeros. We haven't seen this many zeros since the Olympic judges revealed their scores for ray gun. That's the 6:57 p.m. news. I'm Mark Humphreys.
And that's all the news for now on this first day of November. Thanks for your company. We'll have updates throughout the evening.
Stay with us. Better Homes and Gardens is next. From all the 7 News team, have a great evening.